This video is the first part of the Unit 4 test review. Okay, in the first question, in the figure below, find the length of the segments shown if AO is 12, DO is 7, and if O is a centroid. Note that the figure is not drawn to scale. All right, so centroid means medians, okay? And that is the centroid means that that's the 1/3, 2/3 division. That's a third. It divides the segment into 1/3, 2/3. So the small part's one part, the big part's two parts. Well, it says centroid. That's the type of center it is, but it came from the medians. It's the intersection of the medians. Vertex to midpoint. Okay, so AO is 12, DO is 7. I highly recommend, like when you're taking the test, that you'd make a quick sketch of this, draw it, because you can't write it on your computer, or if you can, that's even better. But with math, it's so good to have that visual for you, like where you've labeled stuff. Okay, so we want to know all the different parts. OE is this part right here. Well, this is the short part. It goes to the midpoint, and this is the long part that goes to the vertex. So 2 parts is on the A, so 12 divided by 2 is 6. Okay, AE is the whole thing, so that would be 12 plus 6, which is 18. The 3 parts total. CO is this part, so it's the long part, so 2 parts of this, and this is 1 part, so this is 7, this would be 14. 7 times 2. And CD is the whole thing, the 3 parts, so 14 plus 7 is 21. Any questions about centroid? You are going to have a question about centroid, okay? Find the location of a centroid whose vertices are these points. Remember, you find the average of all the x's and find the averages of the y's. Average of x's, average of y's, and it's a coordinate. So if you take the average of 3 numbers, you have to divide by 3. So add the 3 x's together, 5 minus 3 minus 1 divided by 3, and add all the y's together. 2, negative 6, and 8. 2 plus, or minus 6 plus 8 divided by 3. So 5 minus 3 is 2, minus 1 is 1, so we got 1/3, comma, 2 plus 8 is 10, minus 6 is 4/3. And that's our centroid. Unless I did a piece of math wrong, but y'all catch me if I do. Draw a figure of each of the following. The altitude. We'll just draw well, I was going to say just an acute triangle. I'm trying to remember what is on the exam. But remember, it's vertex, perpendicular to opposite side. Not necessarily to the midpoint. If we have a right triangle, this would be an altitude, and this would be an altitude. The same as the height in the formula for 1/2 BH. And then if we had an obtuse triangle, remember it's on the outside. It's vertex to the line that would be containing the opposite side, perpendicular to that. Drawing a median, that's vertex to midpoint. Find all the midpoints and connect them to the opposite vertex. You notice I marked all of these sides equal. That's how I knew for sure it was in the midpoint. I'm just going to write V equals vertex, okay, in my little notes to y'all. It's always inside the triangle, so even if you have an obtuse one, it's still going to be in the inside because you're just going from a midpoint to a vertex, and it's always just going to, midpoint to vertex, and it's always going to be inside the triangle. So on the test, it's going to ask you to recognize that. Okay? I'm going to the next page, but just know that these will be posted, so just come with me because I want to get through. The next page, got the teak. Write an equation that will correctly determine the value of x in the figure shown if Jm, okay, that must be an m right here. Not a small m, it has to be capital if we're naming a point. Jm is x plus 5, and 2x plus 4 is mk. And nk is 20. So notice all the markings on the triangle. If we do know that if you have a point k on that's equidistant to the endpoints of the segment, okay, then it is a perpendicular bisector. And since these two are equal, we don't know if this is the midpoint, okay, even if it is called an M. We do know that this whole side, though, because it had that one tick mark that I kind of covered up with the blue here, so this is equal to this. So let's go ahead and add these two together and set it equal to 20. Instead of, we don't know that's a midpoint, so we don't necessarily want to set them equal to each other. So x plus 5 plus 2x plus 4 is 20. Combine like terms, 3x plus 9 equals 20. Minus 9 is 11. And we were finding the value of x, so we were done there. If I substituted that in there, I would have 11 thirds plus 22 thirds, which is 33 thirds, right? So that's 3. Or that's 11, I'm sorry. 11 plus 5 is 16 plus 4 is 20. So yeah, that would be 11 thirds. Okay, next question. Everyone good with what I did there? Okay, because we didn't know it was the midpoint, we set the whole side equal to the whole side. Okay. All right, so if CD is an angle bisector, CD isn't, or they should have just said if, this is weird, the way it's labeled. let's call, this is a capital A already, that's good. This is a capital B, that's good. That's a capital C. We'll just call this point down here D, and then we know where we are, okay. What do we know for sure? If CD is an angle bisector, we know that these two angles are equal. That's it. So angle BCD is congruent to angle ACD. Remember, you can put the first and last letters in whatever order. You could have said DCB. Just make sure the C is the middle letter because it's the vertex of the angle. Okay, angle bisector. All right, let's look at what is, if we have a median, AM is a median. Okay, so this is a median. We know that this has to be a vertex and this has to be a midpoint. So we know that BM equals MC. Or we can say that the segment BM is congruent to the segment MC. Remember that without the segment on top, it means the length of, and we can put equals. Any questions on that? See, I told you there's a ton of stuff about these triangle segments and their centers. All right, let's look at the next one. I don't know if I'm going too fast for y'all, but just know we will post this, and I don't know if we're going to finish it or not, so we're just going and going and going. All right. In triangle ABC, that's this whole triangle, H is the end center. That means it was formed by the angle bisectors. And it also means that H is equidistant to the sides. Of the triangle. That means all of these little segments are equal. And when you go perpendicular to a side, you know that it is the distance from the side to the point. Okay, so if CH is 12 and FH is 15, find HE. Okay, so HE is the same size as FH and HD, so we're going to call it 15. Because it's equidistant to the sides. Because H is equidistant to the sides. End center is equidistant to the sides. Circumcenter is equidistant to the vertices.